Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Tom Shadyac's Ace Ventura: Pet Detective from 1994. So yes, we are back once again, ready to start from the channel. This time around, we're talking about Jim Carrey again. It's been a couple of months since I discussed the Jim Carrey film, and yeah, we're going for Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, one that I've never discussed before, on the channel. And yeah, this is a film that I've seen, a few times, throughout my life, from a young age, and yeah, I would like to discuss this film today. But first of all, there will be a spoiler warning for this video. If you haven't seen this film, I would simply recommend seeing it first and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk us from the comments, and yeah, celebrate cinema. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and yeah, this is a one that I do, enjoy. It's a one that I've seen, as I say, a few times now over the years, and yeah, I also saw quite a bit as a kid, When Nature Calls, the sequel, which is the following year, and we'll talk about this very very soon because I did actually watch that recently before rewatching the first film here, Ace Ventura, and just because I was in the mood to see that one, and then yeah, I went back and saw the first one again. And obviously as well, it is the breakout year for Jim Carrey. This one, 1994, as we've said before, Dumb and Dumber of that year, and The Mask, and two films that I really really love, especially Dumb and Dumber. That's one of my favourite comedies of all time, and this one is quite an interesting film. It's of the same year, and I did with those films kind of lead to him really breaking out, Jim Carrey, and becoming this massive star. But I think this is definitely personally my least favourite of the three, and I think aside from the iconic Ace, of course, in this film, Jim Carrey's performance, and a couple of highlights, moments here and there, which are quite hilarious. I think this is more of an average comedy compared to the other two films, of that year. That kind of led to his breakout. Really, I think those films are just so great for me. But this one is more of just an average comedy with a great kind of character performance in this, and some really really funny moments. But the actual film itself, the narrative for me, has never really done it personally, just for my tastes, and I never really find it that investing. And I think the sequel actually for me is a step up in just the sense of allowing Jim Carrey to kind of really go all out, and no other characters, side characters get in the way in that film. Really, they just enhance the experience. And I think with this one, it's kind of a lot of the time there's other characters, background characters, who are kind of made more of a focus, and they're trying to be really really funny, and I think it just gets in the way really of this whole unique character, and him being the star of the show. In this one, Jim Carrey, I think at times there's other characters that are just kind of irritating in the way they're kind of done, and they get in the way for me of the actual comedy, even from Ace, and as well the plot to this one, which is just quite insane. It's not one that I'm ever enjoying that much, and it is a bit of a slog, at times, that when the narrative kind of goes in different directions, and we're finding different clues, obviously, with the detective play, of Jim Carrey, and I think him being this pet detective, it's a really unique, as I say, iconic character, and I think the setup actually, the first act of the film, first 20 minutes or so, is definitely my favourite part of the film, and this is more when he isn't really hindered by other characters and details of the plot. It's just allowing Jim Carrey to go all out wacky, and more visual moments, the reveals and all this kind of stuff, and the storytelling, and I think it's not as bogged down in the detective kind of clues and the way things go off and progress. I think at first it's just so much stronger, and you've got some hilarious moments, and just the introduction to Ace, to Jim Carrey's character. This is just so good at times, and it's just hilarious. The opening credits and titles, and just the car chase bit there, that was so funny, and just seeing the kind of unique nature of this character, and all the animals as well at first coming out in his his home there, and crowding around him, and he just does that mental kind of I don't know what he does there, but that noise he does there, and all the animals are kind of on him and around him, that was so funny. And I think as well, just this moment when this woman comes in, and it's just got all the kind of moving around, that kind of sequence there. It's just really quite insane, and just Jim Carrey's reactions at first are just priceless in this film. And yeah, I do also as well enjoy throughout the film, obviously, Courtney Cox. That's one of the best things about this as well. It does keep the film a bit more interesting going forward, even, is Courtney Cox and, Jim Carrey together. Their chemistry is really good, and, I always enjoy Courtney Cox, of course. And, yeah, her character of Melissa does kind of form this romance between her and Jim Carrey, his character of Ace, and, I think that was definitely enjoyable in the film, the romance, and the way it was done, and, it's just, yeah, it's a nice kind of breezy feel it has to it, and she obviously comes along for the ride in loads of different sequences in this film, and that's when the film's at its best. After the first act, it's just their interactions and them just kind of talking and kind of this whole kind of romance. But when the film kind of once again unravels different clues, this mystery, the whole kind of this disappearance of this dolphin, which is the main plot, focusing on Ace, Jim Carrey's character of Ace, kind of he's trying to find this missing dolphin, which is obviously this mascot for this football team, and it's gone missing, and he's trying to throughout the rest of the film, find this dolphin, and I think it's a funny setup and it's a really funny idea, but I think the way it was done, it was just kind of a bit generic, in places, and definitely unengaging as we go into the middle portion of the film, and I think there's a point in the film where the last kind of half an hour really is just non-stop kind of just unraveling this mystery, and a lot of all-out kind of sequences as well in the final kind of 10 minutes here, of course, with the football kind of scenario there, and I wasn't big on that. Again, we have Sean Young as well in the film, and she's Ferratti, and I think definitely obviously revealed to be the villain, and not my favourite villain as well, definitely not, and I think just some funny moments I guess early on with her and Jim Carrey, in the office and stuff like this, but overall it's just not one of my favourite villains either, and it doesn't really do much for me, and I think the way it ends, as I say, the very final scene is really nice and really funny, but just that final act, as I've said, that's definitely the weakest point overall really for me of the film, and parts before that as well in the middle just get a bit muddled up and a bit messy in terms of the plot, and definitely loses me quite quickly, this one, in terms of that, but it does make up for it with kind of obviously Jim Carrey's performance, his iconic character, and of course Courteney Cox as well. I really enjoyed her in the film at times. Just this pairing between the two of them is definitely it's something that kept it more engaging and more enjoyable, and it's romance, it's again some really funny moments with them, and just enjoyable pleasant moments, and this is, I think it's a film that really is just a bang on average comedy with of course an iconic standout Jim Carrey character, and Ace Ventura himself, but I think other than that, and as I've said, Courteney Cox in the film and different moments, really it's a film that it's just that's what it is. It's an average film with different moments throughout that are highlights, and I think Jim Carrey in this film, he is so funny, and just physicality of this, and just kind of one-liners in this, and one of the best parts of the film, which is absolutely hilarious, is when he's in the hospital, and he does kind of slow motion kind of that moment there, and then the rewind it kind of rewinds and he goes backwards and he just does it in reverse. That was absolutely hilarious, and it's moments like this I wanted more of that, and unfortunately at times it's just too much detective play, too much loads of other characters kind of trying to take the spotlight in that sense, and they're not really funny to me, and so I just kind of every time thinking, can we get back to Jim Carrey's comedy here, because that was really funny. But that's just one of those things, I guess, and it's just a bit overshadowing the actual enjoyability of Ace Ventura himself, and but as I say, some standout moments, different moments with the animals, and the opening sequence really, that was absolutely hilarious, and obviously that slow-mo moment, and all parts in the hospital really with Jim Carrey and Courteney Cox, that's definitely some of the best parts of the film, and I think, as I say, that kind of replay part there, that is just so funny, and Jim Carrey just pulls it off so well, and as I say, Jim Carrey in this film is standout. He's so funny in this, and just this character who is kind of this pet detective. He loves the animals, and it's really nice to see that, and it's just taken to wacky places, but it's definitely held back by the plot, all the other characters really, other than a few, and just this whole kind of way in which the film progresses, it really doesn't live up to the promise. But despite all that, as I say, I do enjoy this film. It's a bang on average comedy though, despite this standout nature of Jim Carrey. And so as for my rating of the film, it's a 60%. So definitely a bang on average kind of comedy, as I've said, and dead on 60 here. I wouldn't give the film more than that. I wouldn't give it less than that. It's an enjoyable film overall. I do like this one, but it's just really held back, as I've said, by the plot, the characters. Definitely a film I enjoy. It's just not one of my favourite kind of Jim Carrey films, comedies, and it's the one that has never really been, as a kid as well, one that I kind of really kind of took to, like most of the other Jim Carrey films that I saw as a kid. I loved them, or really liked them, and there's many more to talk about though, which I look forward to. And next up will be Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the film. What do you think? It'd be really great to discuss, as always, in the comments. And let's talk about this film today. Different Jim Carrey films. How's it compare for you to the second film? Just different, comedy films Jim Carrey made. And, it's just it'd be cool to discuss all this in the comments. And as I say, it'll be great to discuss next time Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Really look forward to that. Talk about that on the channel. But today, let's discuss this film in the comments and celebrate cinema. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.